Hi. Week 8, Part 2 of English 2332. In the first video, I said I wanted to cover a little bit of Francesco Petrarch, and forgot. So let's go ahead and do that real quick. This will be a short video. I want to be sure and touch on this particular author, even though we're not going to really read any of his poetry, because he really lived such a fascinating life. We uh, we see athletes who are gifted in multiple sports. We see politicians who serve for many years. We see authors who write in multiple genres. But very seldom do you see a person like Francis Petrarch who was honored in so many areas. Your PowerPoint calls him the original Renaissance man. A Renaissance man just simply means someone who is really good in a lot of areas. But the saying goes, a jack of all trades is master of none, but still better than master of none. And all that means is that a person who's good at a lot of things is not the same as somebody who's really great in one thing. But apparently, Francesco Petrarch was really great in a lot of things, a lot of areas. Okay, he's born in Italy. He was actually a Roman. He was born at the end of the Middle Ages, kind of on the cusp of the Renaissance. He's a writer, a traveler, a diplomat, a scholar, a man of the church. He became prosperous. He became rich in the law profession. And he wrote a lot about a woman named Laura, Laura. The big debate there is, did Laura ever exist, or was she just simply a part of his imagination? We'll never know, but I expect she did. You just don't, well, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, she really was probably an actual person that he maybe built up in his imagination a little bit. But yeah, be sure you know he fell in love, madly in love with, passionately in love with this girl named Laura, and she became the inspiration, the muse for a lot of his romantic poetry. It has been said that Petrarch defined love for his generation and ours. That the romantic ideal of love, this superfluous, over the top, love conquers all type of idea of Cupid, one man and one woman, is an ideal that very few people can achieve, let alone maintain. This was him. This was all his idea. He basically invented the hallmark idea of romantic love, and it's one that has held on, at least in our culture, throughout the ages. He was a gifted law student, but chose to pursue literature. He was offered the position of bishop and secretary to the Pope, but he turned them down, so he was a big guy in the church. Now, in the PowerPoint, it says that he focused on a humanistic scholarship. In our culture today, if you tell people you're a humanist, that's basically the same thing as saying you're an atheist, that you believe in humanity rather than any sort of God or godlike figure. But in his time, that wasn't the case. A humanist was someone who believed in God. He was a big, strong Catholic, Roman Catholic, but he believed that man was not unimportant, that man was not insignificant, the way a lot of Catholics did at the time, but that humanity was significant both to God and to history. He's very learned, very knowledgeable. He lived at a time when books were rare and expensive. All the books, of course, were handwritten because he lived before the time of Gutenberg. But he traveled a lot. He's called the world's first tourist because he traveled just for pleasure. And this gave him a chance to visit both libraries and homes of individual authors where he could read their books. And so that gave him the chance to read a lot, which was rare in those times. He became very, very well known, very well loved. He was very popular. He wrote in Italian, of course, because he was Italian, but he wrote in the vernacular, which means the language of the people. He didn't write in the highfalutin, the upper class form of Latin. He wrote in the everyday kind of slang Latin, and therefore helped to popularize Latin both as a medium for writing and singing in, and is a thing to be read and studied and sung. So his writing is so good, and Chaucer basically does the same thing for English a little bit later on, but Petrarch was the first and probably the best. No one has dramatized how true love scorches the heart and fires the imagination better than Petrarch did centuries ago. He dipped his pen in tears and wrote the poems that have shaped our sense of love, its extremes of longing and loss ever since J.D. McClatchy. Yeah, Petrarch's impact on the concept of modern love cannot be overstated. There's a nice little story there about a girl who dies. Probably wasn't Laura, but yeah, he's a fascinating individual and a major impact on literature, all kinds of literature, not just romance literature. Now, let me clarify something because I misspoke. Romantic literature is not of the Middle Ages, is not our romantic literature with damsels in distress and stuff like that. Romantic literature just meant any narrative written in the Romance languages of English, Germanic, French, Italian, Greek, all of those. So they had a much, much broader definition of romance writing than we do. Okay, I promised you a short video. If you have questions, when you have questions, please drop me an email, jfly@southplainscollege.edu, and I look forward to hearing from you.